opening the center immediately, aiming to develop pieces towards the action. Instantly establishing an imbalanced pawn structure, Sicilian defense fights for central influence without mirroring white's advance. Securing the e4 pawn and preparing kingside development, this knight instantly claims central influence. Developing a knight here contests the central e4 pawn and prepares for kingside castling. Challenging the center immediately forces black to make a crucial decision about pawn structure and piece development. Opening the center, black challenges the pawn chain and invites a more open, dynamic middle game structure. Instantly occupying the center with the knight, white establishes a solid pawn majority and prepares for rapid piece development, creating an outpost of pressure. Developing the knight towards the center challenges white's central pawn and aims to recapture lost tempo. Asserting central influence, this knight aims to solidify the pawn structure and prepare for kingside expansion. Solidifying the center's pawn structure while preparing to develop the dark-squared bishop creates a flexible and resilient position. Hoping to pin the knight and disrupt black's developing harmony, this bishop sortie immediately introduces tension and potential tactical skirmishes along the e7-a3 diagonal. Initiating a pawn chain with this advance fortifies the center and prepares to challenge the central pawn advances. It also opens diagonals for the queen and bishop, aiming for greater piece activity. Instigating immediate central pressure, this queen deployment aims to occupy the open d-file and support a potential kingside attack, while subtly preparing to redeploy pieces for maximum influence. Developing the bishop to its most active diagonal, preparing to castle, and reinforcing the central pawn structure are all key benefits of this move, setting the stage for a dynamic middle game battle where piece coordination will be paramount. Trading the bishop for the knight here, while seemingly giving up material, aims to disrupt black's pawn structure and create an open diagonal for the queen. This simplification can lead to a more dynamic middle game where initiative is paramount. Consider how this change impacts pawn weaknesses and potential for future piece activity. Reclaiming material with the queen reshapes the pawn structure, immediately placing the monarch in a more exposed position with fewer defending pieces nearby. Unleashing a knight toward the queen side, this maneuver targets the weak b7 square, a potential launching pad for further queenside operations, and a subtle threat against black's pawn structure if the queen ever shifts away. It also creates a dynamic tension, forcing black to immediately address the pressure, perhaps by developing pieces defensively rather than offensively. Unleashing the queen's pawn on the queen side after castling creates an immediate spatial advantage, but also exposes the monarch to potential counterplay along the now open d-file, a bold choice that invites sharp tactical exchanges and demands careful attention to pawn structure. Sacrificing a knight to pry open the king's defense is a bold, aggressive gamble, forcing a pivotal decision that will define the upcoming complications. Evacuating the monarch from the discovered attack's path is paramount, though the knight's intrusion on d6 creates a prickly situation with its control of crucial squares. Suddenly, a knight leaps into the fray, aiming to disrupt black's pawn structure and exploit the unprotected squares around the king. Unleashing the queen onto the f4 square initiates a bold counterthrust, daring white to confront the immediate threats to the d2 pawn and the vulnerable king. Redirecting pressure towards the black king's newly fortified, yet exposed, queenside structure is the primary objective now. The queen's aggressive sortie aims to exploit the open g-file and potentially create mating threats, while simultaneously defending the crucial d4 outpost that was recently vacated. Unleashing the kingside pawn storm, 12. g5 immediately injects a potent dose of dynamism, aggressively seeking to disrupt white's seemingly comfortable central presence and eye the black king's sanctuary, which is currently the safest haven amidst this tactical skirmish. Focusing on central control, this development aims to add another piece to the queenside pressure while preparing for a potential kingside advance, although it does cede some tempo and leaves the d4 square less defended. Harnessing the discovered attack on white's queen, this maneuver brilliantly repositions the bishop, not only defending the pawn structure, but also aiming to disrupt white's central control and potentially launch a queenside initiative. Disrupting the immediate material balance, this exchange simplifies the position while potentially exposing black's king to further pressure on the now open diagonals and files. The capture opens up the g-file, presenting a potential avenue for white's rook in the middle game, but simultaneously exposes black's king to increased pressure along the light squares as the bishop pair is eliminated. Opening the g-file and strengthening the pawn structure around the king, this move aims to build a more robust defense while preparing for potential pawn pushes on the queen side. Black's intent with the pawn push is to aggressively contest the center and potentially create a passed pawn, but it leaves the king side significantly weakened and opens up lines for white's pieces to exploit. Opening a pathway through the central pawn chain, this advance aims to disrupt black's pawn structure and create an immediate spatial advantage. The pawn's spearhead now stares down the f3 square, threatening to further cramp black's queen side and potentially isolate the knight if it remains on c6. Consider the implications for piece activity. White's e-pawn's forward surge might soon allow the rook on h1 to participate in the central struggle via the e-file. The dynamic balance shifts. This aggressive pawn push forces black to react, possibly committing to a defensive setup or finding a counterplay that could expose weaknesses. A crucial pivot point emerges as the bishop relocates, aiming to anchor itself on a powerful central diagonal and potentially liberate the queenside pieces from their current confinement. Reinforcing the central pawn chain while simultaneously preparing for potential pawn thrusts on the kingside creates a powerful central presence and limits black's piece mobility. Unleashing the knight into white's territory creates immediate tactical fireworks, disrupting the pawn structure and opening lines that could lead to a swift attack on the now exposed king. Opening the path for the rook to join the attack, this knight's sacrifice drastically alters the material balance and initiates a complex tactical sequence where pawn structure weaknesses for both sides become paramount considerations. The doubled pawns on white's queenside, though unsightly, now offer a robust defensive structure, and black's recapture here fortifies that perceived weakness while liberating the bishop to a more active diagonal, aiming to exploit the kingside space advantage that white might have inadvertently surrendered by pushing their pawns. Unveiling the initiative, white liberates the bishop, transforming the previously cramped d3 square into a powerful attacking outpost that now surveys the entire queenside diagonal, threatening immediate disruptions to black's somewhat exposed monarch, especially considering the compromised f-file. After the flurry of exchanges, black's bishop, having helped clear the way for the f-pawn, now seeks a more active diagonal from the relative safety of c8, aiming to participate in the fight for central squares and potentially pressure white's pieces from a different angle. Opening the d-file now seeks to exploit the slightly awkward placement of black's bishop, potentially creating weaknesses on the queen side if black isn't careful. Finally, black simplifies the material and alleviates the pressure, initiating a rook exchange that aims to ease the positional burden and transition towards an endgame where the passed pawn might become more manageable. The king's journey to safety has just begun, but it needs careful navigation through the recently opened central files, aiming to become an active participant in the remaining play rather than a passive target. A bold gambit to break through the pawn chain, sacrificing tempo for potential central control. Opening up lines for the rook and reinforcing the central pawn structure is the immediate benefit, though it does commit the bishop to a potentially vulnerable square if black can generate counterplay on the king side. A bold assertion of central influence, this bishop repositions to challenge the opposing knight's dominion and seeks to restrict white's initiative by controlling crucial diagonal squares. Securing the central pawn majority with this advance, white aims to create a more robust pawn structure and potentially restrict black's piece mobility, although it does create a backward pawn on e5 which might become a target later. Asserting central space and initiating counterplay, black strategically mobilizes a pawn to disrupt white's control and create potential outpost opportunities on the king side. Reclaiming the open file with the rook, White seeks to activate its remaining heavy piece and potentially exert pressure along the d-file now that the initial tactical skirmish has subsided. Pushing that pawn to h4 immediately creates a fascinating dynamic, drawing the white rook away from its centralizing objective and potentially exposing the king's diagonal. This advance might seem aggressive, but it sets up intriguing possibilities for piece activity on the kingside, forcing white to reconsider their current setup and perhaps look for counterplay on the open files. Observe how this pawn thrust influences the surrounding squares and the mobility of nearby pieces. Opening the g-file now sacrifices pawn structure for potential queenside counterplay, a risky gamble aiming to unsettle black's consolidated position. Black aims to challenge white's central pawn structure and open up lines for his rook activity on the d-file, potentially forcing exchanges that simplify the position in his favor. Prioritizing king's safety becomes paramount now, as the monarch retreats from the exposed central files, seeking refuge behind a newly formed pawn shield, while simultaneously preparing for a potential rook lift to either flank should circumstances allow, a necessary defensive maneuver given black's active queen and centralized bishop. Bringing the bishop to this advanced outpost directly challenges the pawn structure and aims to disrupt white's intended kingside play by forcing a pawn advance that might weaken the king's cover, while simultaneously creating a formidable central presence for the piece. Opening the g-file, a bold decision, injects immediate dynamic possibilities into this unbalanced position. White gambles on forcing open lines for the rook, seeking active play on that newly liberated diagonal, a stark contrast to black's somewhat passive pawn structure. This aggressive pawn push sacrifices a pawn momentarily, creating a tense battle where black must carefully navigate the complications or risk being overwhelmed by white's potentially unleashed heavy pieces. Consider the impact on the king's safety as well. This opening up could expose both monarchs to unforeseen dangers in the ensuing skirmish. Re-establishing a pawn wall on the king's side, black attempts to shore up their defenses after the recent material exchange, hoping to impede white's rook advancement and gain breathing room in a suddenly complex middle game where both monarchs are somewhat exposed. Instilling new life into the rook's pressure on the d-file, this maneuver forces black to confront the immediate threat of doubled pawns and a potential kingside collapse. The rook on the d-file now stands unopposed, and black's bishop, though active on c1, feels a touch isolated, desperately seeking a role in this evolving pawn structure. Reasserting central influence with the knight's journey back to d1, white aims to reposition this key piece, potentially eyeing the central files or supporting an eventual pawn push on the kingside, while also anticipating black's bishop's potentially aggressive placement on c1. Reclaiming the d-file with the rook now presents black with a much-needed opportunity to activate their pieces and contest open lines, potentially setting the stage for a more dynamic middle game or even an endgame transition if white is not careful. A desperate attempt to re-establish some positional structure, but the pawn majority on the kingside is now severely weakened by that forward advance on the f-file, and the passed f-pawn still poses a significant threat. Seizing the open file, this rook lift aims to disrupt white's recently acquired central space and generate counterplay. The king steps out of the shadows, seeking active participation in the emerging complications. Reclaiming the open file with the rook is a crucial regrouping maneuver, aiming to untangle the pieces and potentially launch a counteroffensive against white's somewhat exposed king. Liberating that bishop opens up the d-file for the rook, a crucial stepping stone towards potential piece activity on the queen side, while simultaneously clearing the way for the king to potentially become more active and control the center. Slamming the rook onto the second rank opens a dramatic line for the king to contend with. The king bravely steps back into the storm, seeking refuge behind a pawn wall that's starting to look rather flimsy. The bishop's relocation to f5 crystallizes a precarious situation, as it now directly intercepts any potential counterplay along the d-file and simultaneously opens a critical diagonal for white's remaining pieces. This maneuver, while seemingly active, sacrifices a tempo and leaves black's king exposed to a swift attack down the open ranks, particularly if white can exploit the now less defended kingside. Recapturing the pawn on f5 not only regains material equality, but also subtly opens the g-file for white's rook, potentially creating threats against black's king if it remains too exposed on the king side. Recapturing the pawn on h2 opens the h-file for your rook, presenting immediate attacking possibilities against white's king, which is now quite exposed in the center after the recent exchanges and the pawn push. This aggressive continuation seeks to capitalize on the recent capture and transform a material advantage into a decisive attack, pushing white into defensive maneuvers. Unlocking the kingside pawn chain, this knight repositions to a more active square, aiming to exploit the weakened structure and potentially infiltrate further into black's territory. Seizing the isolated pawn opens up a dynamic potential for your pieces, though you must be wary of the king's exposed diagonal and the potential for white to activate their rook along the now open f-file. Reclaiming the d-file by bringing the rook into an active position promises to exert pressure on black's somewhat exposed king and potentially create threats against the isolated pawn on b2. Utilizing the open files to launch an offensive might seem appealing, but consolidating your pawn structure and preparing for a more active rook deployment will yield better long-term prospects. The king's newfound liberty on f1 offers a critical outpost, potentially pivoting towards an active role in the endgame rather than remaining a static target. The rook's repositioning now aims to utilize the open c-file, a vital avenue for penetration towards white's weakened queenside. Repositioning the knight to d3 aims to bolster the kingside pawn structure and potentially launch a future assault through the center, capitalizing on black's somewhat exposed king. Unleashing the bishop to c3 might seem like an attempt to rally the black pieces, but it surrenders the precious d4 outpost to white's knight, a crucial square that had been a thorn in white's side. This repositioning inadvertently reinforces white's control and offers them a clear path to exploit the d-file, potentially leading to a swift endgame advantage as their rook on d1 gains prominence. Reclaiming the open d-file opens up potential harassment for black's back rank, a crucial maneuver as the game simplifies into an endgame. A desperate attempt to consolidate the precarious material advantage, but it leaves the king critically exposed to the enemy's advancing pawns. Securing the rook on the 7th rank offers white a vital outpost, threatening to infiltrate black's weakened pawn structure and create decisive pressure along the open file. The rook's relocation to the 8th rank is a decisive maneuver, aiming to disrupt white's pawn structure and potentially exploit the now open file for counterplay. Shifting the rook to the 7th rank immediately challenges black's newly acquired outpost, aiming to neutralize the advanced bishop and potentially sever communication on the d-file. The pawn's advance, though seemingly small, aims to pry open the g-file, potentially creating a vital pathway for the king's escape, or even offering a final gambit for active counterplay if the opponent falters in their defensive setup. Initiating the recapture of the pawn on g1 fortifies the king's position, creating a crucial defensive barrier against black's aggressive pawn storm advancing down the kingside. Asserting influence on the queenside by reinforcing the bishop's defensive posture and creating a more robust pawn structure for future maneuvering. Asserting control over the crucial central squares, this knight hop immediately pressures black's slightly misplaced bishop on a5 and prepares to support further pawn advances on the kingside. Coordinating the bishop with the king's defense is paramount. This placement on c7 aims to prevent any immediate pawn advances by white's knight on f4 and to offer support to the a5 bishop if it's forced to retreat. Shifting the monarch away from the open lines where enemy pieces lurk, a defensive maneuver aimed at solidifying king safety amidst the pawn storm developing on the kingside. Reactivating the bishop to the center of the board offers a potential rerouting to b4, aiming to disrupt white's pawn structure and perhaps challenge the exposed white king. Activating the rook on the f-file aims to disrupt black's consolidated pieces and create new avenues for attack, potentially forcing concessions on the queenside or even eyeing the weakened king. The black king, finding itself under increasing pressure from white's rooks and knight, seeks refuge on the d7 square, aiming to activate its pawn structure and potentially reinforce the beleaguered bishop on c7. Sacrificing material to force the king into a less secure square, creating an immediate threat that demands attention. Unleashing a flurry of activity, Black's king now endeavors to escape the suffocating pressure and find respite on the queenside, aiming to activate its dormant potential. The rook's redeployment aims to disrupt Black's pawn structure, creating potential weaknesses to exploit in the coming endgame, while simultaneously reinforcing White's control over the f-file. Suddenly, the roan finds itself repositioned, a desperate bid to shore up defenses or perhaps initiate a forgotten pawn push. Deploying the knight to d3 aims to consolidate White's position by preparing a potential repositioning to f4, creating attacking chances against the Black king. The rook's relocation to the fourth rank, though seemingly active, offers White an immediate opportunity to solidify their pawn structure and gain better control over the central files with a straightforward pawn advance. Sacrificing the rook for positional advantage, White aims to disrupt Black's pawn structure and create an open path for the knight, potentially leading to a powerful mating attack or a decisive material gain. Unlocking the queenside majority, Black aims to activate this pawn chain and potentially create a passed pawn out of the file, a subtle but crucial endgame maneuver.